It's the posh, 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 posh travelling life for me, travelling life for me, travelling life for me. It's the posh, 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 posh travelling. Well, I thought that because yesterday from Chicago I started with Dick Van Dyke in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, for purposes of balance, today I should start with a Lionel Jeffries song. Lionel Jeffries, who of course was, as well as a hugely entertaining actor, a brilliant director as well, directed one of my favourite films of all time, The Railway Children, which just gets better and better and better. It's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I was going to do another arts manifesto today, but instead, as usual, I've kind of woken up, and of course in the UK it's very late in the day, and through social media there is no way of escaping what the newspapers say. And when you are an ocean away from British newspapers, somehow the grotesquerie of some of them is it's just appalling. It's overwhelming. I mean, watching over the last couple of weeks the way that the Keir Starmer story is playing out, and that whatever angle he takes to it, and however honourable it is, will be turned into something that will, that he is a pariah in this situation. And from newspapers that, when Johnson was actually found to be guilty, just said, don't they know there's a war on? I think there's a lot more important things than the Prime Minister breaking the law, actually. And now for the last 2 weeks, I think there's nothing more important than the possibility that Starmer broke the law. And it is just, it's that horror of realising that, unfortunately, in TV and radio, so often the agenda is set by what are called newspapers, but in fact what they are is they are a rich man's propaganda tool, probably most of all to avoid tax, and on top of that, just power. And until we change that, then hello, look at me, so American. Just finished doing boxing training. I know people always find an incredibly incongruous thing when they think of me. And I was just thinking about that. It's about 28 degrees centigrade where we are. And I have to admit, I woke up this morning, oh no, we're going to have to go training. And then we found a park and boxed and pulled elasticy things for a while, and press ups and all that. And I always think that one of the things that I really enjoy about going back on tour with Brian and Steph is the fact that we do all this exercise, because for my generation and other generations, I think the way that we were taught sport at school, if you weren't very good at it, and if you were a little bit hypervigilant anyway, the sense of embarrassment at attempting to do anything physical became so great that I think for a lot of people, once they're adults and once they leave school, they never go back. They're worried all the time about, oh, I can't do that. In the same way that people say, oh, I can't do science, people go, oh, I can't do physical exercise. And that's so bad for all of us. And I think that has changed, at least in some schools. So anyway, that's all I was really going to say, is if you were like me, someone who was normally picked within about the last four for any team games, and was frequently tutted at as he attempted to go over a wooden horse or whatever it would be, don't feel that you can't go out and do exercise. And try and fight against that embarrassment, just for the good of your health and all of those other things. The book I'm still reading, by the way, is Harry Stephen Keeler's The Riddle of the Travelling Skull. He was from Chicago. I'll give you a little reading later on. Just smearing the factor 50 in before I start my walk to the Museum of Contemporary Art and possibly off to Lincoln Park. So, Harry Stephen Keeler, here we are. This is The Riddle of the Screaming Skull. My bookmark, it turned out, was an introduction to the 21st Toronto Antiquarian Book Fair, which I meant to quote the other day by Robertson Davies. So, it turned out that had been the bookmark. Here is a little bit of Chicago's Harrison Harry Stephen Keeler. And as I mentioned to you before, I used to play a little game with Alan Moore involving lots of his books, including things like the case of the wooden spectacles, because they just can kind of all merge in this wonderful, it's quite a delicious kind of word soup that can just be stirred together. The uniqueness of this particular operation, which I see is titled intradural hemorrhage, is not so particularly great. Evidently, I gave it such copious photographs as I did for poor Cronyet, whose beveler I seldom bothered with. For why fit a plate so microscopically fine when the human scalp ultimately covers the site completely? Got. Yes. Why? But perhaps, nevertheless, you wish the description of the operation, eh? All you can give me, Dr. Pryor. I'm a sort of a thorough person when I go after information.